Hello. So we don't have startup music anymore, Mandee. I don't know why they took off the intro that I was using, but we no longer have startup music. Hi, how are you? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Oh, that's strange. Well, we do have the Alchemy Sisters just started up yesterday on Heart Over Ego. And I know our lovely producer Drew was putting in some new commercials and moving things around. So maybe we're in pre-retrograde right now. And I think Crystal and I both know with how today's energy has gone that it's very pre-retrograde out there. And maybe it disappeared. So we will look into that, but we'll play you guys some little commercials and goodies, and we'll get our intro back next week.
Yes, it's just weird because you get into that mindset of, okay, you get to listen to this and you know how the commercial goes, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. And then it's almost like my brain doesn't work that way. So now that it's not there, I'm like, oh, yeah, hey, I'm here. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I see from the thing we already have quite a few callers actually that are waiting, but today we are going to talk about mediums and why people hate us so much. I feel like it seemed like a good topic. And it came about because one of my clients, this beautiful elderly woman, who really just wants love. Okay, she really just wants to know that something is there beyond what we see, feel, and experience. And she has been one of my people for many times. I've seen her as a client many times. And the first time she came to me, she was so scared because she did not know if she could trust us, and she was very foundationally planted in biblical religion and all that other stuff. And so there was this whole, are you going to hell thing, blah, blah, blah. And so come to find out, I just saw her last week again, long story short, and she brought up Sylvia Browne for me. And I was like, ooh, that's a fun topic, because when anybody who knows Sylvia Browne knows pretty much the whole Amanda Berry incident. So she was like devastated because she thought after reading and hearing some of this stuff that she was a fraud.
Time out, Crystal.
And I was like, yes.
Crystal. I don't know who Sylvia Browne is or who the Amanda thing is, and I don't know if our listeners do either.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
see, I've heard her name, but this is how it is for all of us healers and teachers and whatnot. Like, we come across the teachers and the topics if we're choosing to be in alignment with our path and not fighting our ego to force ourselves to learn. We come across the teachers and the topics that we're meant to learn at that time for our soul path. And so I've seen her name, but it hasn't come into my realm yet along my path. But I've heard lots of good things. So I'm really interested and curious. So I just wanted to back up, and maybe the listeners and I can understand what you're kind of scoping out here, and before we go to the rest of the story, if that would be okay.
Okay. Perfect. So Sylvia Browne was a huge psychic medium, I do believe in the 90s and into the 2000s. I know that it was at least until 2006 because that's when everything kind of happened. But she had actually, Montel Williams, do you know who he is?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
yep.
So she used to actually be on Montel Williams all the time. Like once a week she was on Montel Williams. And so she became this big psychic medium because she got a lot of stuff accurate. And she charged outrageous prices to go and see her, but that's kind of besides the point. But she used to do all these different predictions on the Montel Williams shows and her books and other ways she did predictions. And there was this one lady, Amanda Berry was somebody who ended up getting kidnapped by some guy, and I do believe it was in Ohio. I might be wrong on where the location was, but there was this guy who actually kidnapped her and two other girls. And so her mom every single day went on the Montel Williams show when she knew that Sylvia Browne was going to be there, because she wanted to know if her daughter was alive or dead. And so she finally got the chance to ask Sylvia Browne, and she said, I'm sorry, honey, your daughter was kidnapped. And she was murdered, and you're never going to see her in this life again. This is why, and everybody who does know who Sylvia Browne is, I'm going to tell you, this was the very first medium that I watched on TV growing up, and I felt such a connection with that woman and who she was. I do not think she was a fraud, and I don't care if people tar and feather me for that. I do not think she was a fraud, even though she also had been charged earlier in her career with fraud, like tax evasion or something like that, I think it was. So she has been, she was found fraudulent at one point in time in her life when it came to her monetary whatever. And then later it came and people started pointing out all these bad or wrong predictions that she had. And so in 2006, she was on the show with Amanda Berry's mom in 2004. In 2006, Amanda Berry and the two other people were actually found in this house because one of them ended up breaking out. And so she was, in fact, still alive.
I think I remember catching in on at that point. I had no idea there was a psychic involved in that case, or that, that this girl was deemed, I remember those women escaping, and I remember that name and that story.
So it's a really cool story, but this is kind of one of those things. And Mandee, you're a medium, you're a psychic, you're a spiritualist, you're a healer. This is your life. This is your purpose. This is what you put your whole heart into. And you can get it wrong, can't you?
Oh, yeah, we all can. This is an interesting topic for me because I tell all my clients this: death and birth are very sacred to me. And they don't show me a lot about that. They'll show me if people are like losing life force and don't have a lot of life force left in them, if they're ill, things like that. Or they'll show me potentials for potential souls wanting to incarnate. I think lots of souls want to potentially incarnate with moms, but like in today's society, in this day and age, we're like, okay, maybe 1 or 2 or 3, it's not like 10, a decade ago or like a century ago. So for me, that's all new. And I had a case one time when I was working in Florida. A woman came in who her sister had been missing for like 10 days, and they had found her car and her cell phone, and it was like abandoned near like a nature trail or something. And I looked into it really hard, and I said, this isn't really my realm, but I just kind of felt like kind of cold and kind of dark and kind of sad. And I said, I just don't know. They're not showing me anything as to where she is or if she's alive or if she's dead, but this is just the impression that they're giving me right now. And like, I'm not positive if she's with us or not, but I'm just feeling very, like, I felt like I was buried underground, to be honest. It was like really cold and clammy, and like, so I just said, please like come back and let us know what happened, and I'm wishing you the very best, and like, this is terrible, and I'm so sorry, for your loss either way, and like what you're experiencing at this time. And I never knew what had happened, but it's not something that I've been seeing or that I know for sure. And it's something that, for me, is held very sacred in a lot of ways, I guess, is just like what my angels tell me. And they're like, you just need to know what you need to know when you need to know. I've had a few people come in directly, but I'm not a super medium like you are and a lot of my other friends are. It's not one of my biggest skills. So this is an interesting topic for me, and it's something that, I am curious about for sure. And I do agree. Everybody can get it wrong. It's part of being human, and like, we all only know so much. So of course we can all get it wrong.
Well, see, I think that's like everything that you just said was so neat. And I kind of want to get back to what you were talking about and how you felt and how you saw, because that's actually quite important when it comes to the whole Sylvia Browne, Amanda Berry thing. Okay, I could pick this apart 100 times over because I'm used to receiving messages from spirit in a way that sometimes they're in their death state, sometimes they're not in their death state, and also sometimes people are still alive and fully capable of having a conversation, and I channel for them. So this is something that is very interesting to me because I feel like it's such a special time for us. If you look at when mediums and psychics and healers, spiritualists first started coming out, okay, 9 times out of 10, if you look back in history, most of those people were frauds. A lot of them were using it as more of an entertainment purpose where they'd have something under the table, stuff like that. I've literally had people look under my table. I'm not even joking. I had one guy stand up one time and look above to see, like, before I started, if there were any strings holding anything up. It was just the weirdest experience, but that's what people are seated in knowing about psychics, mediums, and spiritualists. And what they don't understand is that we have grown so much, and the frauds, they made everything bad in the beginning, but it was kind of like, I want to say 90s is when it started happening. Really good spiritualists, healers, lovers started coming out of their shell and started saying, okay, this is what this gift really is. And I almost want to say that we're alive in a time where we're learning more about ourselves than what they had the opportunity to, because we also have scientists backing what it is that we're saying now. There are scientists that have proven that some of this exists, and it's literally just an energy. And once you pass, they found that your energy it's still a part of who you are. And so I think it's really neat to be alive in a time to be that witch that would have been burned at the stake and was at one point, to finally be able to have this business and sit around and have this conversation and also look in the mirror at the end of the day and be like, okay, so that might not have been right. But that one wrong move that I made or that one misinterpretation does not erase everything that I have done that was accurate from spirit.
Yeah, just like everybody else in the world.
Exactly.
You know,
so,
we like to hold people to really high standards and be really hard on others and be really judgmental. But everybody makes mistakes. If you didn't, we wouldn't be human.
I feel like it's personally not necessarily a mistake. It's more of a misinterpretation. And that kind of goes back to the Sylvia Brown thing. And the reason I say that is because you see and feel and receive way differently than I do, and vice versa for me and everybody else. And so I try really hard to let my clients know beforehand. I give a whole spiel on what to expect. And how I channel and what it is that I'm receiving and how it is that I'm interpreting the message. I actually give that to my clients beforehand, not only to open that door for spirit, but also to let them understand, you know, I'm receiving a whole lot of stuff all at once, and I'm trying to decipher it fast. And sometimes spirit's information comes through faster. It's kind of like a downloading computer, where you download, thank you, I'm getting that wrong, my guide said, no, a buffering show. So like if you were watching YouTube and you have this video pulled up and it's almost like, you know, the information is being downloaded, but for some reason it's still lagging and won't play. That's kind of how we interpret things, because they go through so fast. And sometimes spirit gives us things faster than we can compute them and speak them, because we're receiving thoughts, feelings, emotions, images, and senses all at once. And we have to piece this together before they move on to something else, which they've already moved on 3 times. And so sometimes I get that it would be really hard for somebody who doesn't do this in their daily practice to say, hey, I don't understand that. But at the same time, you know, I am the medium here. And so you have to kind of understand, I'll try to pull myself back and ask spirit to slow down. But at the end of the day, people do have to understand that there's a process that's working, and we're doing the best that we can also.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, what you explained with how information comes in so fast, whether you're a reader, whether you're not, whether you're just starting on your spiritual ascension path, whether you don't even know what's going on, we have these certain points in our life that I truly believe where we ascend spiritually, we spiritually mature, we learn things, we understand our senses more, we understand life lessons more, we perhaps forgive certain things, release old patterns, things like that. And it takes the body some time physically to adjust to that, into your new thought patterns. And sometimes that can be released in painful ways. And those can be considered ascension symptoms. I know we've mentioned that before on this show, but that all kind of relates back in.
Yeah. Actually, that comes up in a lot of readings. So I'm going to get back to the Sylvia Brown and how this kind of was misinterpreted in my point, because when she gave the prediction, she actually said, she told Amanda Berry's mom, she said, okay, so sorry, honey, she was kidnapped and she is dead, and you know, kind of, you're never going to see her in this life again. So here's the thing with that. There are so many messages, and Mandee, you know, I mean, like if you were to receive something like that and say it, I mean, like there's probably a lot more going on behind the scenes that you're not saying out loud. And so Amanda Berry was kidnapped. She was right about that. Amanda Berry was never seen by her mom again in this life, because her mom died of a heart attack, I do believe, before Amanda Berry was rescued.
Oh, wow.
So she wasn't wrong.
So she just said your daughter was kidnapped and you're never going to see her again? She didn't say she died?
Well, she said Well, she did say that she died, but I think she was seeing her mom's death instead of her death. I think there was a lot of stuff kind of happening in that moment, and being on stage is kind of hard to say. I don't want to say that I'm like completely sticking up for her, but I do understand sometimes things come through. But also on the flip side, we also have to be responsible medium psychics and spiritualists and have a little bit of a code of conduct here. Mm-hmm. We can't just blurt out like you said in the beginning. You know, you have to have a sacred space for this. This is somebody's life, their soul, their spirit. And so we have to be kind of mindful of the state in which we can't just do that. We can't just blurt things out and be like, oh, sorry. No, oops. Oh, sorry, Mandee. Are you still there?
Oh, I'm still here. Yep, it just went out for just a second.
Okay. So anyway, that's kind of how I feel about that. I do think that Sylvia Brown was a little bit too blunt sometimes in the fact that she lacked great empathy when she gave her readings or whatever. So I feel like she definitely missed the ball on how to talk about this because I think people really need to be empathic when they're doing this for a living.
I agree at certain times, but I think it very much depends upon the client and where they're at. There's certain people who just, receive information in different ways. And sometimes somebody who is really empathic and really, sensitive around a matter might not get through to someone, but someone who's a little bit more harder, tough love, or just gives it to you blunt might be the language that person speaks at that time. It all depends on that being's, incarnation and their social constructs and the way they learn and the way they receive messages. So I think it really depends on the client and the healer and whether that's an authentic connection at that time, because then we grow and evolve and change. Someone who might have responded really well to tough love, 10 years ago might, have done a lot of spiritual practice or found their way, or their inner artist or something different might have softened them up in a different way. And they might be like, no, I need to be spoken to, with empathy now and respect and caring. And then there's some people who are like, I don't care how anybody talks to me because I'm in my own world and it's fine. So I think there's room for all of that.
Yeah, it's funny because spirit picks and chooses. I do not. It really just depends, I guess, on who's sitting in front of me. I do feel personally like if I were to tell somebody, I hope this spirit would be, I don't know, I guess it could be something where they'd have to punch them in the gut, but I kind of feel like, I would be a little bit empathetic if I was just telling a mom, hey, your daughter's dead. You wouldn't just be like, oh, yeah, by the way. I hope I wouldn't anyway. I hope I would be more caring than that. I feel like spirit has kind of grabbed a hold of that in me, and I'm grateful for that.
Because that's you, and that's part of the light you're here sharing right now. That's part of your path. Like if we look at I always feel like George Carlin, the comedian, was very much like a light worker and a way shower, but he was not soft or empathetic in any way. Like he resonated with so many people and still brought joy and a different perspective a lot too. He really brought in a lot of what would be considered conspiracy ideas or taboo or things you don't talk about and got people to think after his shows. So I do agree. I'm like you. I'm like one big oozy ball of love. I work on behalf of the angels. I like to show kindness and glow people up and make them feel better. But because of that, I attract heartfelt clients who are meant for me, who are meant to learn from me because they speak that language and feel that same way. Like I love following what's his face, JP Sears on Facebook. Him. He's fucking hilarious. He's great. But like people who are really into satire and sarcasm and things like that might learn really well from him. I'm was the worst with sarcasm. Like I would never understand were they being truthful or not? I'm not sure. And it took me a while to get hard enough to understand it. And it always I was taking it defensively back in the day. Now I understand it much better now that I've healed up a lot of my own triggers and wounds. But that would have never worked for me. But it wouldn't have been meant to be either. So for all of the healers listening, I know tons of you are healers and readers and way showers and light workers and, all the good things. Or if you're just anybody, I just always each and every day, I just say, thank you, for this beautiful day. Go down my gratitude list, and I just say, allow me to be of service, and if I'm meant to be of service, please attract heartfelt clients that I can help in a heartfelt way, because I want heartfelt energy, because I want to resonate in love as much as possible, because that's the change I want to see in this world.
Oh, that is wonderful. I'm funny because I kind of start the same way, not in those words, but it's pretty much the same thing. I always tell people,
we all
don't
got our
talk
own
to me.
flavor.
Don't talk to me until I'm done saying what I got. I got to give thanks to the universe first, and then you can start talking to me afterwards. I mean, there's got to be something you do first thing in the morning that sets you up for some gratitude, I feel like.
Totally. Even on my shitty days. Like, I have a puppy who's still potty training, and she'll wake me up sometimes, like, when I don't want to get up quite yet. And I'm like, oh. And I'll take a deep breath, and I'll have that first kind of moment. I'll take a deep breath and be like, nope. And I'll have Louise in the back of my head, like, yes, you're feeling this way, but you can choose a different thought, which will create a different feeling. And then I'll be like, it's morning. It's still okay. You know what? I'm grateful. I'm grateful I can get up and I can bring this puppy downstairs, and that she's telling me she needs to go out, and that we're working on it. And then I'll be like, I'm grateful for this dog. And he always starts with the dogs. Dogs are like my gateway. And then I like work it all out from there. So, it's just moment by moment. And like, you just got to try to be mindful and change your thoughts if you can. And if you can't, then it's really important to try to forgive yourself and not beat yourself up for that. Because that's the way the pendulum swings. And sometimes we can get a little too hard on ourselves in a lot of ways. And a lot of healers and teachers and way showers and mediums and psychics, still I work with a lot of them. And all of us can be so hard on ourselves. Oprah's famous for it. She says every single person who comes on her show at the end of it will say, was that good enough? Did I do a good enough job?
Oh, of course you did. I feel like we do as good as we can, I guess, in the moment. And we have to get to a place where that's kind of like we're just okay with that. We have to be okay. We did the best we could. In that moment, I said what I needed to say, and it is what it is. I'll learn the next time.
And then it's over, and that's the hard part is we remember things. We remember the way it feels. We hold on, the way it felt. We hold on to these griefs. One of the biggest things I'm seeing rising this pre-Mercury retrograde and some shadow work is a lot of mothers who have wounds with themselves and are still holding themselves in a lot of guilt and shame for decisions they made as a parent or the way their children's lives are turning out right now and taking it on themselves. And a thing that I'm constantly reassuring and seeing and the angels are sending through messages of is, hey, you did the best you could at that time with, the energy and the information that you had at that time. And you did the best you could, and that's it. And if you feel like you truly didn't do the best you could, then it's important to really start to forgive yourself and know that you'll do better next time. My favorite quote is Dr. Maya Angelou. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better, and only you can hold yourself accountable to that. No one else can.
It's so funny because, like, when you say stuff like that, all of this stuff, and actually I have a friend named Anthony that I saw last weekend, and he said the same thing to me. It's kind of like synchronicity. I don't know, maybe. He would, like, stopped me in the middle of explaining how to ground to his mom, and I was talking about how I ground down to actually, like, keep myself firmly planted in the Earth's core, but then I take this beautiful neon blue light and I raise it up to the universe, and I allow my feelers or whatever to kind of grab a hold of that and also download information that I need to hear, also love, empathy, all these things, and I give myself who are vibrating at a higher state. Like where I was in 2012, I was in such a lower vibration, so grounding down worked because that was kind of emptying, flushing my toilet, so to speak. That was, getting rid of all of that stuff that I had put in. But then over the past, 2 or 3 months, I've started also lifting up, and it has made such a huge difference for me. But Anthony had pointed out that he had read in a book that it is like really important to have those two things come together and meet in the highest almost of life happens because as above, so below. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. You know, I'm doing something that I didn't even know I was doing. And then you just brought that up with the quote. Spirit talks about that every single day, just not in those words. And so it's kind of funny how much information we do get downloaded specifically from Spirit, like you said earlier. They give you what it is that you need to receive in that moment. We don't have all these answers.
Even if you're not conscious or awake, or if you're overthinking, you're getting those messages. It's those questioning moments, those whispers of like, should I go this way or this way? Should I do this or should I do that? It's like, it's in there. And like, even if you're not like super conscious of it in the way Crystal and I are talking about, like doing our work consciously, even if you're just starting this path, those little nuggets are there for you. And your angels are dropping them all over like gold.
Yes, actually, Ben and I, once again, synchronicity, I'm telling you, I need to pay attention to this. I'll talk to you about that later.
Divine timing.
I know what that means.
My favorite.
But then I had a conversation about that today, too, how it's really hard for people to kind of connect and understand that Spirit is constantly answering our questions and answering our prayers. I'm still being answered today from stuff I asked 2 years ago. And so what we really need to learn as humans is that divine time is not human time. And so we have to be patient with the process, because I think part of the lesson in that is not just patience. You can't say you have faith if you're constantly scared that it's not going to happen. And so there's a lot of the processes in this where they are teaching us just to be. And I'm not sure why they do that, because we're still human, but at the same sense, you know, we are still people. And even though I'm enlightened when it comes to somebody else, I may not be enlightened to myself, especially yet, because there are things constantly working out, and there are turns that haven't even been taken yet. And so how can they give me what it is that I seek in that moment if they're like, okay, yeah, but this, and this has to play out first? You know, it's a process.
Yes, absolutely. And is that a train going behind you?
Yeah.
I like that. I was like, ooh, nice sound effect.
I'm in this old factory. I absolutely love where my building is. It's an old car factory, actually.
Oh, cool. I would like that too.
Has so many vibes. I love it.
Well, let's take just a second and just a breather and play one of our little commercials. I can play it if you'd like, or you can play it.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll go ahead and play one. I know our lovely producer, Drew, here on Heart Over Ego Radio, which has, I think we have 5 shows a week right now, but it'll be up to 7 again very soon. We've always got, your favorites in and out, which is absolutely wonderful. He's been working on some new stuff, so I'm just going to play some commercials and see what's in here, and we'll meet back here very shortly, guys. Thanks for hanging in there.
You are listening to Heart Over Ego Radio. We are a network of shows with a lineup that's sure to raise your vibrations and guide you into your best life. Tune in on Sundays to Everyday Psychic Radio. On Mondays, it's the Alchemy Sisters. Tuesdays, it's Radical Spirituality. On Wednesdays, it's All for One is Love. And on Fridays, take a listen to Rain Radio. Amazing shows produced just for you 5 days a week, only on Blog Talk Radio. This is a Heart Over Ego Radio production.
So
you back, Crystal?
Yes, I am. I was going to ask, did you shuffle cards? Were you shuffling cards?
I was moving some cards around in case we need them. I did tune into the studio here, and I see a lot of callers. I want to make sure we discuss our topics, but I thought just in case, I better get prepared.
Well, actually, I was going to see, because I know some of them been holding, and they were holding before I even got on, so I feel like that's one of those things. But we just had somebody get on right before we started that, and it is actually a 386 area code that I'm going to answer. And before I do this, if any of you have any questions that have been holding for a while, feel free to hang up and call back in so we know that you're actually wanting to talk to us.
Oh, yeah. Some people call in just to listen, and we totally honor that, too.
And so I think I broke something here. Hello, 386, are you here? Okay. They're not
Well, that's
there
okay.
anymore, so
Happens.
it's like, no,
Want to try another one?
Sure. Who has been? We'll go up here. I think.
Actually, how about this? If anyone wants to call in to talk to us for a question or get a reading, go ahead and hang up and call back in, and then we'll know. Because everybody who's listening right now has been listening since close to the beginning of the show. Oh, some people hung up. So perfect. So now we'll know, and then the rest of you are safe, and we won't call on you to speak at this time.
So
excellent.
Okay, so we have 386 that is back. So I am going to take her as a caller.
Perfect.
Or him, maybe. Hi, 386, are you here with us? Oh, once again. So I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm going to have you take the calls because I think it's not working on my end is what I'm looking at. So I'm going to have you take the callers.
Hi, 386. You're on Radical Spirituality. Can you hear us? No, I think it's that connection. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and take the next one in line, which is area code 515. Give it a sec. Hi, 515. You are on Radical Spirituality. Who are we speaking with?
Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. What's going on?
Not much. I just had to chuckle. I remember the Montel days with Sylvia, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it kind of got me interested, or more interested in like the psychic realm. So that's great.
Wonderful.
Am I able to ask
Did you have
question?
Yeah. You can ask a question. You can make a comment. Whatever you'd like. So, how can we support you? What's your question?
Well, I'm kind of going through a difficult time right now, and wondering if the attorney that I'm speaking to will take my case, and if so, would there be a favorable outcome for me? It's an employment issue.
Let's take a look at that. Yeah, I'm just going to pull a few cards. You said your name is Stephanie, right?
Yes.
I love it when you have those cards out.
So I am seeing a shift happening. I pulled some cards, but let's ask about the attorney specifically. I'm just using my pendulum. I like to ask yes or no questions often. So I'm just asking if my angels are with me, and they are. And are you tuned into my energy and Stephanie's energy? And they said yes. Okay. Will Stephanie be able to work with the lawyer she's currently speaking to? Showing me a neutral into a soft no. Do you have another option close by that you're thinking about working with?
Yes, there's two others.
Okay. Out of those two, one of them is going to be awesome. I think you're going to meet with both of them, but maybe the next one that you meet with, you're going to feel a lot better with. My pendulum swinging like a very hard yes. So they're just saying, don't worry. They want you to, you're pretty intuitive, they're saying, and they want you to feel which one feels best for you. You haven't met either of these other two yet, right?
Well, I have one when the issue originally happened over a year ago, but not the other one. And I haven't met the one that I'm speaking with now.
Okay. Out of those three, one of them you're really going to like. I think it's the one that you haven't totally met or contacted yet at all. And they are showing, with employment and whatnot, are you currently employed or are you looking for a new position? Because they're showing the Four of Swords followed by the Page of Wands, the suspended person, and the Four of Pentacles. So what I'm seeing for that is that, you're really feeling like attacked, obviously. You're having to get into, sorry, my dogs are getting a little crazy right now. Calm down. They're feeling all this energy because I'm seeing all this happening. But they're showing you really looking for another position, feeling a little torn because you feel attacked and like you shouldn't have to go. But at the same time, knowing that there's probably something much more in alignment for you. And they're showing you kind of holding on to your possessions and deciding that. And then they're showing judgment coming in. And this really finishing, so you get to leave from this energy. And then I pull the Sun card, feeling really at peace and safe and good once this is all over. And they are showing a lot of support coming your way too, to bring the truth to the surface. And that's why that Judgment card came out.
Okay, so it sounds positive. Yes, I actually have been looking for a job because of my the current situation, and they let me go. They eliminated my position on Monday, and I accepted an offer with another company on Monday as well.
Okay.
So,
that's why that's coming in pretty quick there. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your suspended person about? What's the problem?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was sexually harassed. My boss didn't investigate it twice. And it was suggested by the investigator, it was HR, to file an EDA accommodation request, which I did, and they approved it, and then they took it back, and then there were some issues. And then after we had that settled, they started taking away my job duties, and then all of a sudden, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
See you later. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
You're
a blessing in disguise. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a blessing
really
in disguise, sister, and it's not easy. It's not easy when you're going through that. We all go through these things, but this, they do want you to know it's happening for you. You're meant to speak your truth on this. There's some karma from some past lives and other things where you've come up across these people that you've been with in this situation, and you're going to get the justice out of it. But you do need to speak your truth, even if it's hard right now. I'm working, this has been something that's rising a lot for women right now, and I'm working with a lot of women who have had not wanted to repeat, to report sexual harassment and abuse and rape and all of these things because it's such a process and because you're not believed in the first time and because you get taunted with it. So I just want to thank you for being strong enough to choose that experience and to handle it the way that you are, even though, it's had its ups and its downs and it's not easy. Your angels want you to know that you are meant to clear this karma and you are clearing it now, and you're meant to speak the truth and be a way shower. And they thank you for that. And, even though this has been hard, they're showing lots of healing and love and empowerment coming out of this experience, because I think one of the people you end up, I think this new lawyer that you're going to really like working with is really going to help you with that too, and has some experience around this.
Well, I'm speaking with one attorney in the firm, which it's a pretty well-known firm. Yes, very well-known. But she's kind of
that's okay. We don't need to go into any of that. They're only we don't have to go into the firm or the well-known or any of the details, really. They just want you to know for your personal path that this, is not easy, but it's happening for you, and it is going to, move you along, and you're going to be rewarded. They're also showing with that new job, you got the 9 of Pentacles, so some good money coming in and support too. So this chapter, even though it's not over, it will come to an end. And I know we're limited on time, so I just want to see if Crystal had anything to add too. Oh, of course.
Actually, I was going to say I'm sorry that happened, but also I feel like I really think that there's a lot that's going to happen from this, not just from you, but I also think changes within the actual business. So it's actually, I know it looks really bad for you, and I'm sorry, but at the same time, there's growth that's going to come from this. So pat yourself on the back and be strong through the process, because I think you're more of a fierce fighter than they thought you would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I appreciate it
and
very
are you
much.
taking time to? And your angels just want to make sure through all of this that you take some time, each day, even if it's just 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever you can, for your own Stephanie time and soul time, whether that's, reading a book or doing a meditation or going for a nature walk or pulling yourself a card, whatever it is, just to keep yourself grounded through this transition. And it shows the universe are really open to receiving that healing energy too, because you deserve it, because this has been a lot for you to deal with. But know that peace is coming for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome, Stephanie. Take care. Thanks for calling in. Bye. Aw, tough one.
It is, but at the same time, I don't know how you feel about this. Sometimes, I don't know, this is past, Crystal, not necessarily now because things are changing for me, but I always kind of felt bad telling victims of something that happened that there were lessons in those things, or lessons that they were supposed to be teaching to somebody else. That always felt kind of off for me. Did you ever struggle with that, or no?
Yes and no. I struggled with teaching others how that worked, but for me it was something my angels and guide always whispered to me when I was going through my own shit storms, like, this is part of your story. This has purpose. Look closer. I was always studying closer. I was always trying to understand. One of the first books that came into my realm when I was younger, like probably 18 or 19, was the Four Agreements. So I started trying to release, like, taking things personally and stuff like that early on. And yeah, it's just something, I don't know. Yeah, that's what I got on that.
Yeah, it's funny because when it came to me, I was fine. But when it came to clients, I was like, ugh. How do you tell them that this is what it is? And also at the same time, I don't know, I have kind of a no line policy. So whatever I see that I'm able to present, because my guides, if I'm not supposed to say it, will put a stop sign up so I don't say it any further. It's kind of like instantly it stops from leaving my lips. But, they never stopped it. And I was like, like, how do you say this? But then I kind of adopted this, like, okay, I'm going to say it. Don't kill the messenger. But I'm honest, and I'm going to tell you how it's coming out, and this is kind of what they're giving to me. And so, take it for this or this or this, because there's several, many different variables. But at the end of the day, there's always a lesson in something that we go through, whether to, I guess, empower us or also to bring light to a dark situation.
Totally. That goes into that whole divine timing thing and why we chose to incarnate and the experiences like we chose to have. It doesn't make any sense to us here in our human form and our 3D way of thinking at this time. But we do really choose many experiences. Some are free will, but it's things our soul can handle. And it's about our actions and our reactions and how we choose to respond. So whether it's a major, major trauma in your life, or it's, something that's small or little that you're kind of working on, there's always choices of what to do and how to react. And, and sometimes if you're grieving, it's, hey, you need to rest and you need to cry and honor the fact that you're grieving right now. A lot of people will try to ignore grieving and push through and, on as usual and things like that, so it requires a level of honesty and getting, really real with what's best for your highest good at that moment.
Yes. So I do have a quick question. Actually, let's take another caller before I ask the question. And if we have enough time left, then I'll ask you the question.
Okay, perfect. The next caller we are going to take is area code 216. Hi, 216. You are in Radical Spirituality. Who are we speaking with?
This is Desmond, calling from Cleveland.
Hi, Desmond. Hi. How can we support you tonight?
All right. Oh, by the way, I was familiar with the case you was talking about. It happened here in Cleveland. The Amanda Berry story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cleveland. That's where it happened. I don't know why.
There you
go. Thank you.
That was wild. I remember seeing it on the news. Like, whoa. Well, thanks for calling in. Thanks for listening. So, do you have a question, comment, concern, question?
Yeah.
Cool. What you got?
Yes. Female. Well, I already knew her from high school, but it's been years since we saw each other. I want to know is there anything that could happen with that?
I was going to say, Mandee, I'm going to let you shuffle your cards because you know that I'm not good at this. We talk about this one all the time. Kristen's never good with love questions just because I feel like I'm too scared to be the love giver here. Trust me, you don't want that mess from me.
Is she back around because she just like moved back around and she's back in your area, or is she just like you guys connected again?
No, it just I'm more back from ninth grade. I kind of liked her then, but time passed. I just wanted to know if there was any type of possibility like now or years later.
Gotcha. And you're not in contact at all?
No, we
right.
just saw each other the other day at the gym, right?
You just what? You said at the gym? Is that what you said?
Huh?
You say you saw her at the gym? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we just we just saw each other at the gym and said it's been a long time since we saw each other. So
Okay, because they're showing me you guys just seeing each other, just reconnecting, but actually physically seeing each other. So I just wanted to confirm that and make sure I was like kind of seeing the right thing, but it was all new. So they're showing the Ace of Pentacles. I don't know. They're showing a new start, and they're showing this in her energy a little bit. So I don't know if she's kind of moved to a new house or got a new job or something kind of new is in her life. Obviously, she's like, going to the gym and sticking to goals and whatnot, but they're showing some potential and some opportunity there for things. I'm seeing a little bit more of like a slower connection, perhaps a friendship it starts, and then they're showing in about 3 or 4 months the Eight of Cups into the Four of Wands, so potential for some dates and a little bit of like hanging out and things to do. Do you know if she's available currently? Because I'm seeing a little bit of complexity around that.
Oh, I don't know. She just was telling me she lost her job last year and she just got a new job. So you're right about that. She's working part-time. So I don't know about if she's single or not.
So
okay.
I'm gonna butt in here a little bit.
Oh, Crystal's got a little.
Well, I don't think she is single, and this is kind of like when you were talking about that new start and stuff. I feel like she's had a lot of relationships that have kind of taken things from her where she wasn't very happy with or left happy in the end. I actually want to say that she's probably a very beautiful person based on the energy that they're giving to me with her. Like, seriously, the girl lights up the world.
Agreed.
With that, her being an empathic human and a magnet for people, she has kind of gotten taken advantage of a little bit. And so they're giving me my roller coaster in life, which means she's had a lot of ups and downs. And so I would tell you, and I'm going to tell you, this is your guides giving you love here. They're literally giving you love over here. Take it slow. Because they're making you feel like you kind of jump in a little bit too much. You're kind of like me. We jump in 2 feet first. We're like, let's do this shit. And then once we get in, we're kind of like, oh, crap, that didn't work out the way we wanted it to. And so to win this girl in a way that you want to gift her love or get to know her even, because it's like step processes that they're giving to me. But the way to her is to sit back and listen. To not rush in and be another person that she's had in the past, because they're making me feel like she is wanting to reinvent herself and she's trying to find out what is the best for her moving forward. And so if you want to gift her like understanding who you are and be open to understanding who she is, I always tell people, say I see you instead of I love you, because I see you is so important and there's so much power in that. And so they're making me feel like if you're willing to take the time to see her as a human being, that right there will be the connection that takes it to the next step that Mandee was talking about.
No.
So please reach out to her.
She's going to do well at her job, too, and she's going to do well at her job, like at first, and she's going to feel a little defeated because she's only part-time, but then in about a month or two, probably before you guys start going on dates, if you do, there's only potential. There's timelines, anything can change, so this isn't set in stone and you don't have to do it. There's just a potential for that energy to come about. It's going to be after she's starting to make a little bit more money and feeling a little better, and it's looking more like later in the springtime, like April or May or so, but like a connection and like a friendship potential evolving until then. So check back in with us. Let us know. And we're excited you called in. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that reading.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I liked him. He was fun.
He was. It's always fun to look at love. Like, who doesn't want love, you know? And, like, especially when you get, you know, these things like when somebody rekindles from the past, that's exciting. I like those moments when your heart beats fast at possibility and potential. Like, for me, that's like some of the fun parts of incarnating.
It was funny because I told Ben, I was like, you know, I'm starting to realize he gets scared watching stuff with me. Like, one of my very favorite movies is Something Borrowed. And it's actually about a girl who steals her best friend's husband. And so everybody's like, oh, Jesus, Crystal. But at the same time, I love that movie because I love love. I love love. And it just boils down to that because I feel like the universe will always place you where you're supposed to be when it comes to that. And that's what I see happening in that movie. And truthfully, it's kind of Ben and I in our situation and how times we reconnected. We literally crossed paths since we were 8 years old, all throughout life. And so to know that, it's like Spirit literally does that. And I love that. I love love. There's no bounds. It's limitless. I just love love.
Some long, some short, some, you know, you never know. But it's all love, and it's all in there. And I like that Something Borrowed movie. And you know what? She stole him first, okay?
Exactly.
So it was hers the whole time, all right?
Exactly. Yes. You can't be the girl sweeping things around and then have karma bite you in the butt. Just saying.
But hey, she got the good. You know, that's the thing. It's like if you trust a little bit in the universe, and you let go of your ego a little bit and the things you think you want, like the universe and Spirit will bring you the person who is your match and who, you know, you would never. All the like best love stories. Think about it. Like everybody really think about it. People are always like, never thought it'd be that person. It wasn't my type. It was someone totally different. But it's like a crazy soul connection that fills in gaps and voids in different ways that you couldn't see or understand. When you let real true love happening. Controlled love, you know, it turns out different ways sometimes when the ego gets involved. And, you know, sometimes there's just lessons, you know, and opportunities to grow. And we got to have all of those experiences. But I say love every single one of them. And I love the advice that you gave Desmond because I could see that very clearly. And the cards showed that she was very focused on her job and her career first and not wanting, you know, to jump right in. But when the time is right, you know, she'll have done her work and be ready for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think once a woman makes up her mind that she's done in life, she's done. You aren't going to take her out of that mindset.
Yeah, she's looking for her, like, warrior, and that's it.
Exactly. Like, I'm done, and this is what I'm doing. F all of you, I'm moving on, and I'm not going to stop for you, you are you, whatever. So my question was, we're going to get back to what originally we were talking about, just because I think this is such a funny thing to ask a medium or a psychic or spiritualist in any way. What do you think about cold readings?
Cold readings?
Yes. Now, do you know what a cold reading is, right?
People just call and ask a question, and you know nothing other than that, and you just go for it, right?
You read body language. What scientists or naysayers?
Oh, then no, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm like thinking of like cold calling. I'm like, what?
No, a cold reading is actually reading people's body language, like the dress, how they act, mannerisms, to give them readings based on what you see. So pretty much tuning into a human being psychic, and giving them a reading that naysayers or people who don't believe think is pretty much information you can get off from the street from anywhere. One, I'm going to tell you, I don't think that I could do that. I'm not smart. Crystal herself, without Spirit, is not smart enough to make that happen. There is no way. I am such a, you know Doug in Up, how, like, he looks at squirrel, and he's off? That's me. I could not focus long enough to sit there and try to get people and read their information. And also, clients don't necessarily do anything. What do you do when you have a client that gives you an alias, a friend's phone number, and then comes in and sits with their arms crossed the whole entire time? How do you read that energy? You know, there's nothing beyond that. It's just, poof, I'm here and I'm a skeptic. So that's why I was wondering what you thought of that, because a lot of people say that that's how we gain or receive information is just through body language.
Oh, yeah, I think body language is one of the languages, but no, I don't think that's it. Like right now, I've been kind of hunched over on my desk with my arms crossed for a little while now, and felt really good, and I'm still really open, and my heart's still here. It's just like my back's more supported and I'm more comfortable. But at the same time, I do believe in the sense of cold reading of like medical intuitives and people studying. I'm really into muscle testing, and like I got a Reiki certification recently, and my teacher like showed us to like hold our hands at our sides, and if your thumbs point back or towards your middle, then you probably have some sugar issues going on. You might not be diabetic or pre-diabetic, but you might have some insulin resistance. And if your thumbs were like pointing forward, then that means you didn't. And like everyone in the class who had thumbs going towards them or behind them were like, yeah, I'm pre-diabetic, or I've been having issues with that, or I have diabetes or something. And I thought that was really cool. And I think if we study the body in different ways, we do give such subtle signs. And I love acupuncture, and I do tapping all the time, and I'm always holding different points in my body. And I know the response there and the way it makes me feel and how it connects. Like every single organ in your body is connected to a pressure point on your fingers and your toes. And you can, like, if you're having liver issues or heart issues or panic attack, bad headache, whatever, there's certain places on certain fingers and whatnot that you can push or hold. If you want a whole body reset, you kind of hug with one hand, each finger for 30 seconds or so, and it resets like your whole nervous system. So things like that I'm really into. And I like the muscle testing for the subconscious stuff. Like you hold out your arm and you say, like, I would say, oh, my name's Crystal, and then be like, that's a lie. And then you're like, your arm like flies down, But if I say, stay strong, and you say, okay, say your name's Mandee, and I say my name's Mandee, I'm able to hold my arm strong. I like all that shit a lot.
I went to several naturopaths, and that's exactly how they've done everything, is through muscle testing, and they were accurate as fuck. I'll just put it that way.
It's your subconscious. It's like
it's
you. It's
so
you, and
it's
it's your body, and you feel it, so you can't.
So I guess like you're kind of saying what I'm saying a little bit, in the sense that, yeah, cold reading is part of what it is that we do. But it's not in a negative way. We're not doing it to harm or hurt somebody. It's literally part of being psychic. And so any person can do it, because everybody is psychic. Everybody has intuition. And so, yes, everybody can essentially cold read a situation. And so it's like that's kind of part of what it was that I was getting at, because, I mean, to sit there and read energy, is that not what a psychic is?
Yeah.
That's literally what you're doing, is reading energy and a situation and how it looks and how it's looked in the past and blah, blah, blah. And let's see how we can branch out from that. But at the end of the day, that is part of the process that goes into it. But I really, really love that they're starting to kind of, test or try to see more about medium psychics and stuff like that. I really like that they're looking more into this and trying to find a link between what they're saying and what they've said to all of this other stuff, because it's got to come from somewhere. And so I guess in the end, like, what would you tell somebody if a client came in and said, hey, Mandee, how do I know if somebody's fake or not fake? Like, what would your response be?
I've had those questions before too, and I think it's a hard one to say, because it depends on the person. And I say you have to trust your gut, and you have to trust your feelings and how you feel. And if something doesn't resonate with you, then it is not meant for you at that time. It doesn't matter. It's not your business if what they were saying was true or false or this or that or what the facts were. All that matters is what your intuition is saying. If it says no, not right now, or if you're questioning it, then that's not a good time. If your intuition is saying, yeah, this feels really good, and like, all right, this resonates, then perhaps it's right and it's true. But I don't think it's our business to be the determiner of the truth as much as we think it is either.
Yes. That's kind of how I answer the question. I'm just kind of like, you got to follow your gut, because at the end of the day, even going to somebody who doesn't necessarily receive information correctly about you, because I am going to say that I can't even receive information correctly sometimes from some people. And when that happens, I'm like, okay, so I'm not doing this anymore. I need to have this much accuracy. And so this isn't what I want. And then I obviously don't take their money, but I let them go about their business and find somebody who can kind of connect with them if it's a connection issue. Because we all have that issue. At one point in time in our careers, I mean, you can't read everybody. It's not time for some people. So follow your gut.
Oh, yeah, you have to. I think you have to. I mean, that's what I do. So that's the choice I've been left these days. Crystal, how can people get a hold of you if they want to work with you?
Mid Mitten Medium at yahoo.com and or Mid Mitten Medium on Facebook. That's it. Radical Spirituality, but we don't have a page for that yet. But that's it. Heart Over Ego. I mean, you can comment. Please comment on our posts. Go like them. They're amazing. Mandee is part of Heart Over Ego, so I'm going to flip the switch. How do we get a hold of you, Mandee?
Yeah, you can find me at heartoverego@gmail.com if you want to connect with me. You can go to our website, alchemyascensionacademy.com, to book a session or reading. You can follow me on Facebook, Mandee, Mandee ELam, Mandee ELam. And if you're in the New Jersey area, I am co-facilitating a women's gathering for the mood, which is going to be absolutely wonderful, and I'd love for you all to join. So thanks for a great night, Crystal, and thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in to Heart Over Ego Radio.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.